Good morning. Good to be here with Pat McGuigan this Saturday morning. And Pat, Wednesday night, President Obama spoke in Arizona, and you were impressed with his words.
Well, I really was. In this case, I'm often a dissenter against the conventional wisdom. I have to agree with the overwhelming majority of the pundits I've been reading. I watched every word of the speech. I think for this guy right here, it was the best speech I've ever seen Barack Obama give. The context was a little odd. Some people have talked about that. It was like a pep rally, whereas I had expected something like what happened here in Oklahoma City in the memorial service. But the president's words and his delivery and his content, you know, I don't use words like flawless. It was awfully good. It was really good, and the tone and everything was presidential. It was very comforting, and it was affirming, and it was embracing and inclusive. And by inclusive, I mean of his opponents. It was a very significant thing for him to issue the gentle admonishment, and it was gentle, but the admonishment to some of his own broader speaking political allies to tone things down and don't blame political rhetoric and ideas for a terrible outcome like this. So, A+ as far as Pat McGuigan's concerned.
That was certainly the big story nationally. Locally, of course, we have a new governor, a new government in place here. And do you feel like the Fallin-led government, the Republicans, are kind of on track, on pace right now? Or do they need to step it up?
The only surprise I had was that Governor Fallin entered office without a budget / finance director. That's kind of surprising. That, of course, will get resolved. I'm sure the choice is going to be a solid performer. Having said that, that was a surprise. Now, the issues I see for the Republicans are the challenge of actually governing. They're now in charge of everything, basically. Yeah. Now, under our commission structure, it takes a long time. It'll take a term or more to gain full control of some of the boards and commissions under the appointment process. But there's that. And the focus does need to be, or in my opinion, the focus should be, as they've promised and most of the Republicans campaigned on, which is the economy and jobs. That doesn't mean there's not other issues. It means that's what people are looking for. Oklahoma's done better than the rest of the country, and people are looking, okay, let's take it to the next level because we're still a comparatively poor state, and we need many years of good growth, not just holding our own, to get where Oklahomans want us to be. Republicans face the challenge of, and we've already seen hints of this, of avoiding a conservative version of Gene Stipe. There's a willingness sometimes in politics to be quiet about troublesome allies who aren't just difficult to work with, but who actually engage in and do things that are wrong. Yeah. In terms of the use of public resources and demanding what agencies do and so forth outside of the legislative process. So transparency, servant leadership. It's a term you hear a lot from evangelicals. I think it has a real good, solid meaning rooted in Scripture. The model of servant leadership is a lot better than dictating to people outside the parameters of representative government what they're going to be doing. So there's that. Conservative policies, opening up markets, making the economy more robust, rather than limiting the number of players in the economy and rewarding existing players. This gets right to the issue, of course, of the taxes, the tax credits and the exemptions and so forth, and the incentives, which can play a very important role. But a very good man named David Dank is going to be taking a real careful look at those. And Republicans need to rise to the challenge of not just simply creating a big pot of money for big business, but actually structuring those in a way that work for the taxpayers, because it's the taxpayers' money. So those are my thoughts. Those are the challenges facing Republicans, but obviously they made a good start.
What's the challenge facing Democrats right now as they are now in a new role, essentially, completely in the minority? How do they get back on top?
It's going to be tough. Majority status, I guess if I would have a reflection that puts it in a little different than raw political terms, it'd be majority status is not an entitlement. For a long time, it's just what was in Oklahoma for the Democrats. It's not an entitlement, it's the result of a process. Republicans worked very hard, and they worked very hard in ways that go beyond hardball politics that we see in television ads late in campaigns. They recruited good candidates. They recruited people with good ideas. They packaged those ideas carefully. The Democrats need to do all of this. Frankly, I don't think there's any comparison between the performance of the Republican Party organizations and the Democratic Party organizations for maybe the last decade or so. The Republicans are on their game. Honesty, integrity, playing the role of a loyal opposition. And the toughest part, patience, time. At some point, the Republicans will mess up, and then the Democrats will be there. And they need to be there with positive ideas. They're going to be able to pull some people over to their side in the arguments. The jump ball are independents and conservative Democrats. And right there, that defines the equation for the Democrats. Those are my thoughts.
And we thank you for them. And you can get more of Pat's insights at CapitolBeatOK.com. Thanks for being with us this morning. We'll see you next week.